Well, in the previous lectures, we've already discussed what is management all about and what the management process is, that is the different functions of management. In the last lecture, we've discussed what planning is, right? That is, we take a peep into the future, right? And then we decide what the objectives of the organization are going to be, right? By peeping into the future, we plan, right, what we're going to do in future, deciding in advance that what are we going to do in future. Or another definition that we gave for planning is that right now you are at point A, right, but in future you want to be at point B. Fine. So how are you going to cover up this distance? This is planning. That how am I going to reach from point A to point B? Right now, if my current sales turnover is, let's say, point A, fine, and my target or my objective of the organization is to achieve B as my sales turnover. What all steps am I going to take, right, to achieve this amount of turnover? That is what we call as planning, right? Planning bridges the gap between these 2 points. That is where you are today and where you want to be. All right. Now, after you have decided what steps you are going to be taking up, what are the different steps that you are going to take up to bridge this gap from where you are and where you want to be, right? Second step of management is organizing. After you have made the plans, after you have set out the overall organizational objectives, second thing that comes into picture is to get together all the material, all the men, human resources that is required to put those plans into action. That is something very, very important, right? Now, if let us say, I'll take an example from your school area only, okay? The school wants to organize a fete. It is decided that because before the Christmas holidays, fine, the turnout of the people is going to be maximum. Like if we organize a fete, let's say on 25th of December, because people are generally scared to go to places like malls and all, thinking बहुत ज़्यादा भीड़ होगी and maybe you're not able to get those joy rides and all because of long queues and all, right? So you decide that it will be just an appropriate day to organize a fete on 25th of December, right? This is the objective. Now you chalk out a plan. ठीक है, ये तो तुम्हारा एक मेन ऑब्जेक्टिव हो गया दैट फेट ऑर्गेनाइज करनी है. देन नाउ हाउ आर यू गोइंग टू ऑर्गेनाइज अ फेट, राइट? वी आर गोइंग टू हैव लेट्स से अबाउट 10 फूड स्टॉल्स, right? हम 3 काउंटर देंगे to for people to sell clothes, right? We are going to invite someone from the automobile industry to put up their show, as in like maybe Maruti or someone, they can have their cars on display, right? Then झूले वाला भी आएगा, clear? सब classes के game stalls होंगे, हाँ? This comes under planning. एक हम rough plan chalk out करते हैं that in my mind I imagine a fate, that is planning. Right? In my mind, I have imagined that what my school grounds are going to look like on the day of fete. You sketch a rough draft kind of a thing. That stall A goes to this, B goes to this, C goes to this, and so on and so forth. That this is what my school ground is going to look like on the day of fete. Right? Now, organizing basically consists of all the activities. Like, ये सब हमने stalls तो भाई अपने दिमाग में सोच लिए हैं. Clear? Now, who's going to get this particular stall? We'll have to send invite to people, right? We'll have to ask people to come and sponsor our show so that we get lots of money, right? So all these activities, they are going to come under organizing. ठीक है? पर टेंट वाले को लेकर आना, कौन लेकर आएगा उस टेंट वाले को? पूरे टेंटेज होनी है on around all 4 walls of the ground, right? So all this basically all the inputs that are required to give your idea. अभी तक मैंने सोचा था आपने सिर्फ visually एक सोचा है, imagine किया है that what my school ground is going to look like on the day of fete, right? Now what all men and material are required to give it a practical shape? That means actually उसको आप अभी आपके सिर्फ दिमाग में है, एक इमेज है, उसको प्रैक्टिकल शेप देने के लिए whatever is required, right? That is what is done under the process of organizing. That is what we call as organizing. Now coming to the definition of organizing, it says it is the process, again like in the definition for planning or like in the definition for management, the minute this word comes process, it means it requires a series of steps to be performed. I'm going to discuss those steps in a little while from now. It is a process of identifying and grouping the work to be performed. Right? मैंने बोला fate organize करनी है. I have to identify fate organize करने के लिए क्या क्या काम करने हैं. मुझे stalls book करने पड़ेंगे, मुझे food stalls book करने पड़ेंगे, right? और different stalls book करने पड़ेंगे so that it attracts customers to go and buy stuff from those stalls. Right? We organized a fete in our school. Right? We had about 8 to 9 food stalls. Right? We had about 3 to 4 stalls selling clothes, junk jewelry, bags. Right? Then we had a stall wherein you could go and get yourself clicked with your family, an instant picture with a frame they are going to give you. We had that. We had home furnishing stall. Right? We had game stalls being put up by each class. Right? We had joy rides. Right? We had different shows where you could exhibit your talent, right? And the person who performed the best would get the prize. So all this, I have to identify what all is required to be done. मुझे करना क्या क्या है. Planning में सिर्फ है that I have identified this is my main objective. Okay, this is where I want to be, and I'm going to plan. I'm going to chalk out a plan that this is how I'm going to achieve the objective. Now, keeping your organizational objectives in mind at all points of time, I have to identify and I have to group the work to be performed. Then, after that, we proceed further, defining and delegating responsibility and authority. Now, after you have identified that what all is required to be done, secondly, you are going to identify who's going to do it. Right? Who's going to do it? All right, and you also establish an authority responsibility relationship. कौन करेगा और उसकी completion की responsibility किसको होगी और वो किसको report करेगा. Right? I should be very clear in my head that who is my boss, to whom am I supposed to report. Once your authority responsibility relationships are clearly defined, it avoids any kind of ambiguity in the organization. By ambiguity means there is no confusion, right? Then last, and establishing relationships for the purpose of accomplishment of objectives. All the activities, right, all steps of management will be aimed at achieving organizational objectives. I hope the definition is now clear. I said we've talked about 3 things over here, right? First of all is you have to identify and you have to group the tasks, right? We have to group the similar tasks under one head. Okay, like I have identified, let's say for a factory, I have identified मुझे product बनाना है, ठीक है, उसकी packaging करवानी है, right? I have to market it, so I have to get it advertised also. Then I have to certain sales promotion techniques are also to be used so that उसकी sales को boost मिले, right? Now all the activities related to production, उन सबको इकट्ठा group करके हमने एक separate department में डाल दिया, that is production department. Right? Similarly, marketing की जितनी भी activities हैं, be it advertising, be it sales promotion, right, be it publicity, all these will be grouped under one head, that is advertising. ये एक separate department हो गया. So basically what am I doing? I'm identifying and grouping. I'm identifying activities and I'm grouping the similar activities under one head. This is one. Second, defining and delegating responsibility and authority. Mind you, we are saying responsibility and authority. हम दोनों को ही define और delegate करेंगे. We cannot be delegating responsibility without authority or authority without responsibility, right? There has to be just the right balance. There has to be a parity between authority and responsibility. That is why you have to define what is my area, what is each person's area of responsibility, and you also have to delegate the right amount of authority which is required to carry out that responsibility effectively and efficiently. Only then will I be able to work effectively. And establishing relationships, that is authority responsibility relationships for the purpose of accomplishment of organizational objectives. Now coming to the organizing process. I said the minute the word process comes in, any kind of a definition, process includes a series of steps which are to be performed. There are 4 steps in the process of organizing. Number 1 being identification and division of work. Identification and division of work. You first have to identify. आपके पास main plans हैं आपके. You have to identify that in order to accomplish those plans, what are the different type of activities? What are the different activities that are required to be performed? हमने आपको बताया कि प्लान है that आपने फेट ऑर्गेनाइज करनी है, तो उसमें about 7 to 8 फूड स्टॉल्स हैं, राइट? अब इसमें काम ये तो प्लान है, right? To put it to action, what is my job? What is job at my end is that I'll have to contact different vendors, right? I'll have to contact different vendors. I'll have to call out for quotations that I am selling one stall. I am selling one stall of medium size, fully covered, for a rental of 15,000. How many people agree to come to my school for a rent of 15,000 and for whatever space I'm allocating them? How many people agree to come to your school? This is what we call, this is a part of organizing. I'm identifying कि मुझे बोला गया है मुझे 7 से 8 फूड स्टॉल्स लेकर आने हैं, राइट? तो उसके लिए मेरा काम क्या है? मुझे लोगों को जाके कॉन्टैक्ट करना है, राइट? उनसे पता करना है कि जितने रेंट पे हम स्टॉल दे रहे हैं कितने लोग रेडी हैं, और मुझे ये भी इंश्योर करना है दैट इफ आई एम सेइंग 7 फूड स्टॉल, इट शुडंट बी कि मैंने 7 के 7 फूड स्टॉल पिज्जा कॉर्नर के लगा दिए, राइट? आई हैव टू प्रोवाइड अ वैरायटी ऑफ फूड टू द क्लाइंटेल दैट इज पोरिंग इन. दिस इज आइडेंटिफिकेशन ऑफ वर्क. This is identification of work, right? Then I also have to call for, let's say, टेंटेज होगी वहां पे, झूले लगेंगे, राइट? ये प्लान है. दिस इज अ प्लान, राइट? अगेन टेंटेज करवानी है, डेकोरेशन करानी है. अगेन आई हैव टू कॉन्टैक्ट पीपल and I'll see who's going to deliver me the best possible product at the least possible cost. This is my job. This is I'm putting my plans into action, right? Now, this is not a one-man show. I have identified कि ये 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 is the activity that I have to do. This is identification of. मैंने identify कर लिया that I have to contact the food vendors. I have to contact the tentage people, right? I have to contact these people who put up the joyrides. I have identified, right? Then now I have to divide work. Divide the work. This is a principle of, this is Fayol's principle, division of work. Fine. Now entire work which has been identified will now be divided amongst different people in the organization depending upon their caliber, right? जो काम, let's say if I talk about food stalls. Fine. Now, if a person, fine, who has a penchant for cooking, who has a great liking for cooking, who loves to cook, right, or who's basically a foodie,